All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to undo actions in Lumion. There's not a lot of ways to do that, but there are a few ways that could be helpful. I'm going to start by pointing out that the undo button is right here. Normally, if it's available to use, it'll show up on the right of this bottom board right here. And when it's available to use, it'll either pop up or in this position, or in this case, it'll show up as, it'll highlight as white. And it's just going to be right here next to the delete button. So like on landscape, it's not currently showing up, but when you can undo something, it will pop up as a box right here. All right, so I'm going to start by showing you guys how to undo actions in regards to placing and moving and altering objects. So I'm just going to start by placing a few trees, maybe like 5 or so of them. And then let's say that I didn't mean to place this many trees, that I don't like this number. I can either just go to the delete button right here and individually click each one. And if I want to undo that, say I deleted one too many trees, I can just click this undo button, which is now white, and it'll let me undo just one tree. So like if I wanted this tree back, I can't get it back now because it's gone forever. I'll just have to go replace it. But let's say that I don't want all of these trees anymore. An easy way to delete all of these trees without having to click each one is if you hold down the control button while you click and drag, then a selection box comes up and it'll highlight all of the objects that you want that fell into the selection box, and you can delete all of those items at once. And then like, let's say that I actually didn't want to do that, then I'll come down here and I can click this undo button because it's white and it'll allow me to. And now the entire selection that I deleted will come back. Now let's talk about how to undo actions in regards to editing objects. So let's say I want to move this tree over here and then move this one here. And then let's say I want to scale this one, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and then let's say that I didn't want to move this tree all the way to left. I want it back in its original position. To get there, I can't necessarily just choose to undo this one. I have to go back and undo all of the actions. It'll only let me undo sequentially. And in this case, it'll let me undo more than once. So I'll undo my scale, then I'll undo the move, and then the second move. And it'll allow you to undo all of those actions, as many actions in this case as you want. The only way that it'll stop letting you undo things is if you place more objects or end up going to something else. Like if I decided to alter the terrain, or I decided to place different kinds of trees or even more of the same kinds of trees, I could no longer undo these actions. So like if, for example, if I decided to move this tree a little bit back to the left again, but let's say I wanted another tree just right here in the foreground, I'll just click this one and I'll put it just right here in the front. Let's say now I really wish that I didn't move this one to the left. This undo button isn't highlighted because now I've placed this tree and it won't let me undo this action. I can't get back to this one. Even if I were to come and delete this tree, it'll still only let me just undo that delete. And it won't let me go all the way back to this move. So once I start placing more objects, I can only undo things in regards to movement and rotation and scaling in regards to the objects that I just most recently placed. So after I place things, I can only alter and undo, well, I can only undo the actions that I use for those most recent placements. So like these trees back here, I can't undo any of the actions that I did for them. After I've placed this one, so like this move to the left, I can't undo, but say I were to decide to do some more movement and some more scaling, then I can undo those actions. But ones before placement can't be undone. All right, so now I'm going to talk about how to undo actions in regards to this landscape category. The only actions that will allow us to use an undo button are this height option and this paint option. The water can be undone using this delete. So like once we place the water, then we can use the delete button. So say I wanted to place this water, then I just place it, and say I wanted to move it. Say I wanted to move it up some. The only thing it'll allow me to change, it won't allow me to undo the height. I'd have to physically move it up and down, or I could just say I don't want this anymore, then I'll just delete the entire thing. But anyway, back to the height and the paint. This one, when we use this tool, it'll allow us to use an undo button. Or so like, for example, I'm just gonna create a couple hill-like things. Just gonna create a handful of those. And then I'll create some holes. And then let's say I want to smooth it out a little bit. Just one movement. All right, cool. So if we notice the undo button has popped up here on the right, and it'll allow us to undo up to four actions that we just did. So if I wanted to go back and just get rid of all of these, it won't let me. It'll only let me undo 4 actions. So for example, it'll undo the smoothing I just did and get rid of the 2 holes and then one of the hills. And then after that, this undo button disappears. And if I wanted to get rid of these, then I'd have to smooth and flatten out the land. All right, so now with the paint, let's just say I wanted to just paint some sand down the middle, and then I wanted to, say, put some gravel right here on top, and some dirt on this one. And then say I wanted a smaller piece of grass just right here in the middle of this one. Just like that. Okay, so if we notice again, the undo button has popped up and we can undo just one of those actions. So if I didn't want this sand anymore, I've already used my one undo, so I would have to go back and paint over it. But other than that, I can only undo one action. So like in this case, let's say I don't like how I did this, then I can click the undo button and it'll disappear, so I can't undo anymore after that.